brought the great chairs in, thanks. Okay. So some things are changing a bit with COVID and the restrictions and I would start to say again, thank you. This recent outbreak that started on January 8th was not anything I thought that we would be looking at again. But that being said, I think overall we handled it pretty well. I think that we were able to the best of our scientific knowledge, sort of imagine how it began, at least in AL, and put some puzzle pieces together so that we could spend a Saturday evening together. In retrospect, I would shoulder the commitment that I made, or the decision that I made to wait a week to close down the dining room, and in retrospect, I would say, remember, part of MJ DNA is that I'm going to fail, and I think that was a fail of a decision. But thank you. Again, the family members that I've communicated with on a pretty regular basis have said to me consistently, if my loved one was anywhere besides Richmont Terrace, I would feel afraid. But because my loved one is at Richmont Terrace, I know with all of this happening that they're in the safest place they could be. So just pat yourselves on the back. Get permission to pat your neighbor on the back because they might not know about that. But thank you. Not quite that I have
Good buddy.
Jesse, please give them an update about testing and some things that are happening.
Okay, so as you know, previous to today, we had weekly testing for all unvaccinated staff every week. We are no longer doing that. If you have symptoms or something to that matter, then we will test you. But that's the only time we'll be testing. There is no more weekly testing except for memory care right now. We'll be doing twice a week while we're still in the outbreak. But after that, the only time we'll be doing testing is if you have symptoms. Any questions about that?
I have a question. So, at what point do I tell you that I'm symptomatic? Is it 2 hours into my shift? Is it before I come to work? What would you prefer?
Before you come to work,
Okay.
please.
And then make that phone call and in the very least, answer your questions truthfully so that we can make a determination about that.
And please call, do not text us, because myself, Cindy, and Laura are not always around our phones. So if you want us, you gotta call us.
I think people returned quickly from time off that was necessary. So again, thank you. AL, most of the residents in AL are getting physical therapy.
Yeah, we've gotten orders for almost all of the AL residents. There's just a few handful that don't have orders. But most of them are seeing PT, OT, so you're gonna see a lot of ancillary services in the building, working with all the residents.
Memory care too?
Memory care probably after we get through this.
Okay.
And honestly, I know it's gonna sound crazy, but this go around's been kind of rough on trying to keep people in. So they've been pretty active. They've
Good.
been up, so maybe 1, maybe 2.
Again, my word for the year is grace. And I think we have to all give ourselves grace on what we can manage in the best way possible, and forgiveness in that which we can't. So it's, however we do it, it's kind of a balance. But I believe that we're going to ease up a little bit. I want to encourage family members to come visit. I think we need to get family members in a little bit more again. And I communicated that to them in the last email that went out Monday afternoon. So welcome families back. help them to be at ease on coming back, so that we can, whatever our new normal is, we can get there as soon as possible. Anything else about COVID?
Not about COVID.
Oh, go ahead at this time.
So I just want to let everybody know and kind of start preparing. Bobby, Linda, Cindy, Laura, and myself are working on getting an app or online scheduling service up. We are hopeful that we'll be ready to go live with that March 1. So your nursing schedules that you're currently used to seeing will not be no more. We will have them, you'll have an app that you can download, and you can also get to it online. It's called When I Work, and it's just a scheduling app that allows us to put all of your schedules into an app and into a website so that you don't have to find a paper anymore. You'll be able to pick up shifts on that, you'll be able to trade shifts, you'll be able to do everything that you're normally doing now. It'll just be in an app.
As well, that will be for all departments, under all managers. So we just had the first call today, training session. So the goal is by March 1st to be solid in that.
At least for
managers,
at least nursing. And then Tim, we can work with you and same with you.
I'll need lots of help.
It's okay, buddy, me too, I feel it.
So, I think it'll be a lot easier than trying to screenshot a paper schedule and things like that, so. But we'll be in charge with that. Before I call on Nicole, Tim wants to mention something on behalf of the kitchen and dietary.
Two things, actually. Number one, if you folks in housekeeping and nursing could help us out tremendously. We're missing a lot of trays, the room service trays, a lot of the covers and stuff like that. So when you're in rooms, if you can just do a quick eyeball around for those things, that would help us out. And then the other thing, I hate to be the bad guy, but nursing staff, when you guys come in the kitchen and you want lunch, something to eat and stuff, we're gonna have to make that for you. So myself or Steve, we'll have to make that for you from here on out. It should have been that way all the time, just for health safety standard reasons. If state comes in and they say, when you guys behind the line, we get in trouble, all that stuff. So we're gonna work with you and be as friendly as we can to you, but please, just ask us for what you need, and let's get that for you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Nicole wants to talk about Life Loop.
Yes, so another new app that will be coming out is Life Loop. So on Life Loop, you'll be able to access the activity calendars depending on if you're memory care or assisted living. You'll be able to access one or the other, probably not both. Menus will be on there as well. This is also another system that we're hoping to have live as of March 1st. If you've walked through the lobby today, you will have noticed that there's a new display on the TV that has our agenda on there for the day, and that changes every single day. And there's a slideshow that also plays along with it that has the birthdays and all of that, so we will be adding to that as well. But with this system, we will be able to communicate with all staff on that system as well. So if I know in the past we've sent out messages in paychecks for when you clock in, which we are unable to do that as of right now. So we will be able to communicate with you if we need to send out, like, all staff meeting has changed to 3 o'clock today, or whatever, and it will actually send directly to the app on your phone. You can change the notification settings yourself to where you can actually receive a text message if a new communication comes out. We'll be able to communicate with family members as well. So if a message needs to be sent to the family about, hey, mom needs some more briefs, she's starting to run low, we can send it through there as well. That way it will be integrated with PCC. We are in the works of doing that. So my hopes, I don't exactly know how it looks as of yet, but my hope is that if you were to put a note into a patient or a resident's profile in PCC, it will sync with Life Loop as well, and vice versa. That is what my hope is. I'm not familiar with this new system, but so far with running with it and setting things up, it's very, very user friendly, and I think we're very much going to enjoy all of the new aspects that it's gonna bring for us and simplifying things for us, so. If you get a text from LifeLoop as I'm entering all of the staff, it's going to ask you to register. Please click on the link and register. Your username is already set for you. You don't have to worry about a username. And then you will just need to create your password. Everybody else who's registered already, what it has you do is it has you type your password twice, and then you're into the system. So you'll be able to look at the calendars and all of that kind of stuff from there. So if you get that text message or an email, please don't ignore it. Please register, because the sooner you register, the sooner you'll have access to it, and you can kind of play around in it, see what it is, and that kind of thing.
So we'll be notifying families about it as
Yes.
well. So some of you are used to taking photos of a resident. That'll be the easiest way then
Yep.
to add that, to go to LifeLoop and then find that resident's contact. Is that right, Nicole?
Yeah, so each resident has their own profile, and you'll upload it to their profile. So you can add photos straight to their profile, and then the family can go in there and see them. There is a whole community gallery, but if you go directly to that resident's profile, you can add it just to that resident's profile. Kim and I have been, and Dawn, I just saw you sneak in, we've been kind of playing around with it the last week, taking, your meal attendance will be on this app now as well. I'm working on that currently with LifeLoop to get that set up the way that we need it to be. Activity attendance, which is not something that we have done in the past because it is not required by the state for an assisted living, but we are going to start to do so we can more so pinpoint who needs the one-on-ones more, who's not coming out or who's been coming out and all of a sudden is kind of staying back in their room and hanging out. So we will all be taking attendance. Mostly the activity staff will take attendance on those things. Yes.
With like memory care,
Mhm.
I know we have the one iPod that, I'm dating myself. Will the staff have an app on their phone also, or no?
Yes.
So will they be able to?
They
take
can
attendance?
download the app on their phone and take attendance right on their phone if they would prefer. Like I have the app on my phone. An iPad will be available.
No, because you have to
It's,
have.
you have to have,
a log on to log into it.
you have to have a login to be able to log into it. And it's not, it won't have their medical stuff in it, is my understanding.
So it's just like name and picture, or just a name?
Name, birth date, picture. But you have to have a login to be able to log into that, and I can change permissions on people's profiles to what they can access, what they can't access. So,
So it's coming.
it's coming March 1st. There's going to be some bugs to tweak out after the first, I'm sure, and getting everybody's permissions where they need to be and that kind of a thing, but we will get there. You won't even know if I adjust your permissions anyways. Other than you might be able to access something one day and the next day you can't. But it's very user-friendly. You can have an app on your phone. But otherwise, there will be new iPads coming to the building as well. I have 3 more that are in the process of being ordered. So housekeeping will have an iPad, maintenance will have an iPad, the front desk will have an iPad, memory care, assisted living.
I have a question, so were there appointments beyond that, like if you have a doctor?
Yep, so the transportation schedule will be moving to that as well.
And
So-
will, like if a family member is gonna take them?
So it'll say in there whether it will be our bus or family to transport.
Okay.
So everything will be entered in there. Everything will still need to go through Tammy when it comes to transportation. Only certain people will have permissions to approve those transportation requests. So Tammy will still need to be the main scheduling of that. So if a family member says, hey, mom's got an appointment, we need to make sure we get that to Tammy so she can get it into the system and make sure that the bus is actually available or whatever,
Okay.
just like we do now. It just won't be on Outlook and you'll be able to have that. So, yes,
Do maintenance requests go on there?
yes. Maintenance requests will now, the whole goal is to kind of digitize everything we have and kind of cut down on our our paper stamp that we have. Maintenance requests will be on there, housekeeping requests are something that will be on there, so if there's, I know one that I've added is like carpet extraction, because that's not something that is done every time the room is cleaned or whatever, so if somebody wants a carpet extraction, we can add that in under the request, and it can go to housekeeping, maintenance, whoever's doing so. You guys will be able to communicate, mark off what's been done, what's not been done, you know, create comments in there of, yep, we're waiting on this, or, you know, whatever. So when Kim has a room that needs to be rehabbed and you're waiting on carpet, you can put that commentary in there, and that will help keep track of all of that as well.
I also think, in addition to a benefit for us, you know, with quicker, fluent communication, the resident family members, I think, are gonna love it too, you know, to be able to log on and get communication from them. Because a lot of times as caregivers, you're in the moment with something that happened that was fabulous or whatever.
Mhm.
And you don't have time to, you're thinking, oh, I want to tell Imay's mom, or Cindy would love to know this about Mary today or whatever. So I think, you know, you're gonna have a way to communicate, you know, that with a family
And some of
member.
the residents will be able to use the app as well, so each resident will have their own login as well, so they'll be able to access the calendar and register to come to events, or, you know, or not, or decline, or whatever. I don't know that right now with the group that we have now, that many of them will use it. I think we have a handful that will be very excited to use the app. But as we get some of the younger baby boomers in, it's going to be more prominent that they will be more tech savvy and be able to use more of this app and that side of things. But for now, it's gonna mainly be for staff. Huh?
We usually don't hear those words together. don't we, baby boomers?
Well, there is the younger side of the baby boomers who are currently like 65.
Will family be able to
62,
do
I'm a
like
shadow.
transfer
I have to own it.
So yes, family will, and my understanding is family will be able to do maintenance requests. Currently, I have not sent any invites out to
Till we're
family.
ready.
I'm just trying to get the whole system up and running and kind of get our stuff going. So it might not be until later into March that I send out the request to family members, because they'll have to, like sign up for it as well. And then it will be part of the move-in paperwork going forward for the contacts and all that kind of thing. So I want to get the facility side of stuff up and running properly before I send everything out to the family members, because I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions. So I want to get this side of things going so we're operating smoothly, and then we'll add that aspect in.
And maybe going down the road a little bit, we'll just have a couple of training sessions that you can sign up,
Absolutely.
and so that we're all together, we'll just do it on the.
Yep. Like I said, it's very, very user friendly. There's not extra buttons that you don't need. It's very, things are labeled very easy to understand. So it's pretty, I was a little nervous about it, to be honest, and I've actually come to have a really nice liking for the system. So I think it will actually simplify a lot of things for us, so.
Right. Anything else, Nicole?
That's it.
It's been brought to my attention that when a couple of memory care team members took trash out today, that over on the other side of that retaining wall behind the dumpster, one of the neighbors, not a village neighbor, but neighbors on the other side of that retaining wall, said, you know, yeah, some of the terrace trash is loose and consistently coming into my yard. So, and so we have to take that, we have to believe it, you know, why wouldn't we? So I think, and Steve can address this maybe, but we need to really make sure that our bags are tied shut appropriately, that we're not filling them way too full, that they're busting open, or, I mean, what would you say to that, Steve? Is there any?
I think that's exactly correct. Just tie up your
Well,
bags.
I think with this last few weeks, we've had a little more trash than usual.
With the clamshells, you think?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There are times that some of the girls will go out at night and it's completely full.
And we can't, like, we're short, so we can't get it in there.
And I can usually throw that bag in, but I've been needing to take Marissa out with me to actually push it into the dumpster with me. 'Cause it's been so much.
And that's fine too, too, I came up, one day and there was a huge pile of trash outside of the dumpster. That's never an option.
Nope.
So, I mean, if it comes to that, put it in the trash room or something, but
In
piling it outside in the neighborhood is not an option.
So I guess if you went out and you saw that it was full and there was no room, then the best skills practice is to come back in with it, go in the garage to that big dumpster and then Raphael and Steve will get it, in the morning.
Our trash gets picked up every other day, so.
Okay, but we have to be good neighbors, okay? Howard, do you want to just make a quick announcement that you have a change in the housekeeping schedule, please?
Oh, yeah, housekeeping will now be working just Monday through Friday, so no Saturday and Sundays. So I guess us weekend managers will have a little more duty if something comes up that, you know, we always somebody here who needs something, so. But that's what we're doing.
I think it's doable. I know that other MJ communities are doing it that way too, so, yeah, weekend managers here if you need help with anything, but I think that housekeeping can be adequately done Monday through Friday. Okay? All right, dress code. I just had just something quick, and you're all gonna look around and know who you are today. On page 30 of the handbook, it says what?
Wear your name badge.
Name tags are to be worn at all times during working hours, including on the days if it's dressed up like a pajama or you wear jeans. It is a regulation and you need to do it. I'm pretty nice until I have to ask you the second time, so I'm only nice the first time. If it's in your locker or in your car, get your tuchus out and go get it.
I mean, you've asked me like 5 or 6 times.
Well, you have a special learning system apparently. Aren't you even embarrassed to admit that? I had to ask you. If you've totally lost it, the first one will be free. But go to Stacy and she'll, you know, and they are costly. They are. And, you know, if you've lost it or something, go to Stacy, Dee Dee. And she'll make you a temporary, everybody look at Dee Dee because she's laughing right now. But I can't be, I mean, really, I got enough to do without asking you to wear your name badge. And when I think about all that you do, like caring for seniors and all the departments that you have, seriously, you do highly more important and technical things than trying to remember to get your name badge. I also have to remind you, and remember if I have to, that means there's a reason, there are to be no hoodies more during your shift here.
Don't look at me because I stopped wearing.
I only had to ask her about 3 times on that one. No hoodies, no, never, nada. Jeans are only on Friday or designated special days, and they have to be halfway decent jeans. I don't want them dragging on the ground with, you know, half of the hem trailing behind who I've been known to call people in my office. And I've gotten on my tuchus with the scissors and cut the bottom of their jeans off. And if I'm not willing to do that, I'll send you home. We have a standard here at Richmont Terrace, nothing less than that, and it's excellent. So,
Can we wear jeans with the red knees like every other jean that's in the store?
I would prefer not. Because, I mean, how do I ever draw the line? Am I gonna get like a microscope out and go, all right, your little fray here that you paid an extra $20 for is 1 inch long, and that one?
Yeah.
When do we manager on duty on the weekends? Is it okay to wear jeans?
No.
No, because I'm not letting anybody else. Unless you're really doing something like I'm coming in, because I have done this, you know, I'm coming in to get on my knees and scrub the floor or clean out the kitchen or the pantry or, you know. But we have to, if I'm asking them, you know, and that's a hard one for me because I'd rather wear jeans. But we are here often on the weekend to greet family members and to help, so I would prefer not. T-shirts are supposed to just be on the jean day, unless as a special day. I've seen a little bit of that lately.
Even if they're the MJ shirts?
So we can't.
The MJ shirt is for Fridays, or special days, it's not on a Wednesday or Tuesday. Yeah, yeah, so. And there again, not pointing out Yvonne, but she can raise one eyebrow. Yeah, okay. And so then here.
Dan, am I just violating all the rules over there?
So care team, generally then, I mean, I think in all of your departments, I think at orientation, we speak about dress code, and I'm just darn sure that your managers have reviewed your dress code. So I think we've gotten a little lax and sloppy when we've had isolation and some of us are traveling with meals and, doing extra things, but we need to get back to being what we are. And so I must. Conflict resolution, I just want to remind us and take us back to knowing that every problem has a solution. And the longer we don't seek that solution, that means that we are in a state of dis-ease. And dis-ease is negative. And not only does it hurt morale, it harms the very reason we come to work every day, which is to serve the residents in their home here. And the energy that we exude when we stay in conflict is heavy, heavy. And it's not comfortable. And if we don't work on resolution, what are we getting out of staying stuck in the crap? So the way that works, most conflict is miscommunication or misunderstanding. I mean, I've said this before, we all drag a suitcase to work. And it's whatever happened to me in 5th grade or happened with my dad or whatever it is. But when we come here, we have to be united. There will be misunderstanding. Nicole can say something to me and she can be tender of heart and I can hear it as my 1st grade teacher who tied me to the chair, Mrs. Barron's. It is a true story. So if I'm reacting to something, I have to stand back and go, is it about that or is it about me? And in any way, I got to get courage as soon as possible. And we have to fix it. When we are all in our adults, we ought to be able to go to somebody one-on-one and say, hey, when such and such happened, I didn't feel respected, or it occurred to me that I could have communicated differently, and in not telling the whole story about why my sheets were still in the dryer, or I didn't take out whatever, it would have been beneficial for me to tell you that, Annie fell this morning and we had to call the unit, we were behind. Whatever it is, try to fix it one-on-one. If that doesn't work, then you go to your immediate manager. If that doesn't work, then you go to the head of the department. So if it's nursing, you go one-on-one. If it's care staff, if that doesn't work, you go to your immediate department manager. If that doesn't work, go to Jesse. Here's the thing about me, and I have always said that. My door's open, even when it's closed, if you need to come see me. But that being said, what I've seen happen is some of those initial steps are not being followed. And that takes more time. And that's more time that we're not where we need to be. Any of you that were here on March 11th of 2019 heard me say, I do not like 7th grade girl mean mentality. It can be in an 82-year-old male resident. It's not gender girls, it's not 7th grade, necessarily. But we gotta fix it. We gotta fix it. And I would say, when we're at our optimum, there's just no second community as good as Richmond Terrace in what we do and how we run to the fire and how we support one another and how we give the high five and the kudos and, I see that you're stressed, how can I help you in this moment? It is so much easier to do that than to be spiteful and hold on to something. And I'm not saying, what you're aggravated about is not true or not founded. I'm saying let's get it fixed as soon as possible.
And what can the team, what can they expect when they take it to their manager, to their direct supervisor? Is it appropriate for them to say, okay, I understand you're having an issue with this, and let's say it's communication stuff. At that point in time, should that supervisor offer to bring both in?
All right, so when I'm a department manager, the first thing I would ask, well, the first thing I would do is repeat it back so I make sure I understand. I always do that, you know. And then the first thing I would ask is, did you try to get one-on-one with this? How did that work? Well, no, I haven't. All right, tell me more about that. What's the reason? So, you know, and then if that doesn't work, I would say that you must be willing to have your manager mediate and bring, you know, those 2 people in or 3 people in so that he or she can provide a safe place to work through that. I'm always willing to do that because I have a background in mediation, but if, the thing that we don't understand, and then we're going to get to resident rights, is conflict does not have to be scary, and it doesn't have to be hurtful, and it doesn't have to be mean. When conflict is handled well, it leads to intimacy. Now don't take that out of context. Intimacy is in-to-me-see. And when conflict has happened well, and we're in our adults, and we keep our heads about ourselves, so we work through it, because we've done it in all staff before. We solve problems, and then people come together, we put it behind us, or we set a new process, and we move forward. So when you'll allow that system of mediation to work, if it needs to get to that, you have to be willing to trust your manager that that will work. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Resident rights. Every state has resident rights for assisted living. Long-term care has them too. When I do an occupancy agreement with a resident or a family member, and sometimes that paperwork looks like mortgage papers, right? Or even the handbook, right? Thank you, Jesus. Okay. I generally will say, of all the stuff that's in this that you're going to get a copy of, this is the most important piece of paper. So let's review this. I'll start, and left is always right, so you'll go next. Number 1, or the first one, is to be treated with dignity and provided care by competent staff. Before I go, I always say, your loved one should be treated with compassion, dignity, and respect 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nothing less. Right? Steve?
They'll have the right to be an equal partner in the development of the resident service agreement while retaining final decision-making authority.
To be informed in advance about care and treatment of any changes in care and treatments that may affect the resident's well-being. To be informed in writing the pricing structure and/or rates of all facility services.
To be self-direct activities, participate in decisions which incorporate independence, individuality, privacy, and dignity to make decisions regarding care and treatment. To choose a personal attending physician.
You have the smallest one. To voice complaints and grievances without discrimination or reprisal, and have those complaints or grievances addressed.
Now here's the thing, because I could stop after everyone and, you know, add on. Many, and it's a little different, I mean, please, it's obviously different in memory care, but all the more reason that we empower the advocates to speak up. But this is a generation, like I'm 62, so when I'm here, you can bet I'm gonna complain and speak up, right? Because I do it well and easily. But this is a generation that is afraid to speak up when something isn't okay. But for the most part, we have a few people that, right? But this is a generation that is afraid to say, you know, when when Stacy transfers me, she always forgets that my left shoulder is tender. And it hurts, but I'm afraid to say anything because I don't want to get on her bad side or whatever. So we have to remember to create that safe place for residents and assure them they always have a right to speak up. Go ahead.
To examine the results of the most recent survey for licensure of the facility conducted by representatives of the department.
To refuse to perform services for the facility.
To refuse to participate in activities.
Right, hang on just a moment, and I'm watching the time. A resident always has the right to refuse. I have the right to say, I don't want to come to breakfast. I don't want to take my medicine. No, I don't want my shower. No, don't take my trash because I'm working on my taxes, right? When we know it's even over and, it's a false risk. A resident always has a right to refuse. Now, God bless you, no is sometimes not no. No is sometimes I have pain, but I don't want to tell you about it. Or no is I'm choking on my pills and I don't want you to know. Or no, you've been putting it in applesauce and I hate applesauce, whatever it is. So, resident always has a right to refuse. One of the things that's kind of hard, and obviously if it's an at-risk, we may have to fax a physician, call a family member. I mean, if Annie hasn't showered for 4 weeks, that's too many no's. We have to get together and figure out how to get a yes, even if it's, calling Irene or calling a resident's daughter and saying, hey, can you come help? So, but there are times when we have to stand back and ask ourselves, what's different today? What's the reason we gotta know when they can't articulate? And do we need to offer it and have it look differently? But oftentimes, I have seen where residents on hospice and they're in pain and they refuse their medication while they could still get their pain meds. And then a team member, is insistent upon that. But I've had a resident say, I know I'm going to be in pain, but I want to be lucid when my family comes for the rest of the time I have. So a resident always has a right to say no. Go ahead, Odessa.
To privacy in written communication, including sending and receiving mail.
To receive visitors as long as this does not infringe on the rights and safety of other residents in the facility.
The right to have access to the use of a telephone with auxiliary aids where calls can be made without being overheard.
So, I'm sorry, Erin. So I do always tell a resident, if housekeeping walks in, or if you come in to do trash or something, the resident could be on the phone. I tell residents, it's okay to say, you know what? I'm on the phone with my granddaughter, please come back and clean my apartment in 20 minutes, or I'll be done in 20 minutes. So let's try to remember that we all have our schedules and deadlines, but we do have to give them the grace to work around their schedule if they say no.
To have the right to a telephone in his or her room at the resident's expense.
To retain and use personal possessions, including furnishings and clothing, as faithfulness unless to do so would infringe upon the rights and safety of the other residents.
To share a room with the person of police officer is often contact of that person. To self-administer medication if it's safe to do so.
To be free of chemical and physical restraints.
To exercise his or her rights as a resident of the facility and as a citizen or resident of the United States.
To form and participate in an organized resident group that function to address facility issues.
To be free from abuse and neglect and misappropriation of their money and personal property, and to be free from involuntary transfer or discharge without a 30-day advance written notice, except in situations where the transfer or discharge is necessary to protect the health and safety of the residents, other residents, or employees.
To review.
So the last one, that to review and receive a copy within 2 working days of their permanent record. So So resident or their advocate could ask for medical records, or, you know, they could ask for a history of their thing. So I know there's a lot here. I don't read every single one to a resident either. But we do need to be familiar with the fact that they have rights, and we need to empower them to have those rights when they can. If they can't, that's of course when you encourage a family member to be their advocate and speak up on their behalf. So, any questions about resident rights? Any concerns or comments at this time before we adjourn today? Yvonne?
What?
Say it.
I was replying to Dee.
I'm teasing because now it's all gonna get around, oh, Annie really calls out Yvonne. Are there any cares or concerns, joys, thoughts before we adjourn today?
Just be nice to Laura because she has to learn 2 different things by March.
Right?
So do we.
Yeah. Yeah, Laura.
Are you gonna do that?
Laura has to learn how to input a calendar into Life Loop.
She'll
I know.
And do schedule on a new system.
All right. Well,
You got it.
Change is good. Change is good. Please welcome new team members. We have some new temp team members. We still have a few positions to fill. If you could lift that up or dance in your parking lot or burn some incense at home, we do have some openings, both in memory care and assisted living. But thank you very much. I'm proud to be with you.